Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain DXP, and today we have Matthew Carstens, who's the product director of experience for MENA, and he's a so-called crypto expert, and really interested to find out his role in the MENA and his cryptocurrency journey. So thank you so much, Matt, for doing this. Really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, and let's correct the first thing. I'm not a crypto expert. I've been in it a very long time and made all the mistakes. I'm an expert in making mistakes and learning quite a bit. But yeah, I know a little bit, so we can go from there.
See, that is something which I absolutely like what you said, because people who make a lot of mistakes in the cryptocurrency space, they are the ones gradually over a period of time, they understand the pitfalls of it, isn't it? So really excited to
Yeah.
talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's with any financial market really, but this one, it moves so much, it's so volatile, and there's a lot of hype around it, off and on over the years, that really pulls in bad actors, that also pulls in a lot of curious people, and curious people experiment and explore, and that, you learn from that, good or bad. You're learning from it continuously. So I've definitely done that. We can talk about all those learnings later.
And you talked about, price volatility. And what happened yesterday is President Trump, he met President Zelensky along with European leaders. Now, since the last few hours, the cryptocurrency prices have fallen down. And one thing, Matt, which I tend to look at is the ETF inflows and outflows. And surprisingly, since the last few hours, the outflows have surpassed well over $300 million. So what's your take on what is going on at a geopolitical level?
Great question. I mean, the first thing that I guess I think about is you're talking about a few hours.
Yeah.
That's such a short-term time frame, so it could be anything. It's kind of what's signal and noise. I mean, yeah, Trump had leaders there he was speaking with. That could be part of it. Uncertainty can pull money off the table. But I also think we have a Jackson Hole meeting this week too, so it could be people just taking chips off the table for that.
Yeah.
Kind of waiting to get a little bit more clarity on where to go next. That's probably what I would be thinking of in general. But I'm not looking at like hourly. It's more like weekly.
Yeah.
More of the larger waves going on here, and not the little ripples.
That's absolutely great. Now, Matt, could you share a bit of your background in your cryptocurrency and Bitcoin space? And when did you get introduced to Bitcoin, and how has your journey been thus far?
Sure. So I started in Bitcoin when it was about $100. I thought it was the stupidest thing in the world. I thought it was so dumb. I heard about it, wrote it off, heard about it again, wrote it off, third or fourth time, was like, all right, let's learn a little bit more about this. Did. And then, as you've probably heard from others, the light switch went off. I was like, holy cow, this is unbelievable. And the internet doesn't have native money. And this is definitely a really good use case, let alone all the other attributes that it holds. And so I went down the rabbit hole big time. I ended up getting a lot of it at the time. Started telling my friends. I have a bunch of friends I've had for many years, and I was one of those advocates for it. So I was like, guys, I literally was like, just take the money that you would blow at the bar in a weekend and put it in this and set it and forget it, because the risk reward is insane. So if you're wrong, you get rid of money you would have spent on alcohol or fun. And if you're right, it could change your life. And so that's what I did. I went down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, had hundreds and hundreds of them. And then Ethereum got going, and the whole DeFi summer and NFTs. I went into all those worlds then afterwards. But yeah, it all started with Bitcoin, understanding it, how it's a completely different system, network, and the light bulb went off, and I was sold. This is amazing.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm glad you talked about telling your friends, because I do remember when Ethereum was around $12, I used to tell my friends, go and buy Ethereum, and they were like, no, we are not into scam money. And last week, the same friend just gave me a call, and he's like, Ethereum is around $4,400. What is going on with Ethereum? And people need to understand the technology as opposed to focusing just only on the price as well, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The tech's important, and then the network, the people around it, because people will copy pasta or make new chains like crazy. The early thought was, well, I can just make this up. I can just make another one. Yeah, you can, but you need a network and a group and passionate people behind it, and amongst other things, that is super important. A community. You need to build that community around it. Yeah, it's amazing. And honestly, with ETH, I was skeptical on that. So I was skeptical in Bitcoin. Light bulb went off. Then ETH was out, and I was like, okay, this is just another like Bitcoin thing. That's kind of dumb. I didn't know anything about it, and then learned about it. And was like, oh my gosh, this is like completely different use case. This is amazing. And so then went down that rabbit hole. And then there's these things called punks, these
Yeah.
weird, and those punks
And
came up. Yeah, the NFTs. And I thought that was stupid. And then I was like, I used to trade baseball cards and stuff when I
oh
was
yeah,
little, and I was like, oh my gosh, these are like absolutely amazing. And one thing I learned trading cards is buy the rookie cards, get the rookies. And so I went and got a whole bunch of punks. So I had 20 punks. Um, Anyways, I just dabble, right? You're dabbling, you're learning. You're at first your knee-jerk reaction might be that's stupid, and then just keep asking why, and you might uncover
yeah.
something there. Pretty cool.
That's absolutely beautiful. Now, based on your experience, Matt, what I want to find out is how would you define Bitcoin? Because what I tend to do is everyone I interview, I ask them for their definition on Bitcoin, and based on my experience, people give out completely different definitions of Bitcoin. But what is your definition of Bitcoin?
I mean, the easy one that's now probably in popular culture is digital gold.
Hmm.
So I would usually, if I was talking to somebody that knows nothing, I would usually start with that. And so they can like go, okay, I know what gold is. It's just an internet version. So it's like a currency. It's a store of value on the internet. It's internet native, and that's super unique. And then you can get into, limited supply and
Yeah.
trustlessness and all the rest of it. But just like it's digital gold, and then they start asking, well, why is that needed? Or they start asking why. That's where I start.
And now even presidential candidates and presidents are talking about Bitcoin, isn't it?
Oh yeah, exactly. The sovereign wealth funds getting
Yeah.
it, etc. Yep, exactly.
But that thing being said, right now, Matt, there are still a lot of people who are skeptical about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So, what message do you have for those people who are still skeptical about Bitcoin? Because via LinkedIn, I do see a couple of hedge funds. They are saying that, Bitcoin is still going to zero. Maybe they are quite invested in gold. But what is your message to those people?
Just do your own research.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of reasons people say a lot of things. They have their own biases. They have their own, to pump in their own bags. Maybe they want you to look at something else, some other
Yeah.
currency or a stock, or it doesn't matter. So just ask questions and figure it out for yourself. That goes with influencers, me, you, anybody. Just look into it and get different opinions, because the same thing I did. I was super skeptical, and then a light bulb goes off. And honestly, like, hey, there's a lot of assets out there. So if it doesn't work now, it may never. I don't trade, well, I did trade gold, but there's a lot of people that don't trade gold. I don't trade a lot of assets that people love, right? So there's a lot of options out there.
Yeah.
They could be turned off because there's a culture around it that they're just not aligned with. And that's there's the dot-com bubble too that happened, and then pretty
Yeah.
soon it's embedded in all of society, and you don't even realize it's there because you're on Amazon anyway. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I would just do your own research, see if it makes sense for you.
Definitely so important that we go and do on research. Now, I was doing a bit of research on your LinkedIn profile, and what I really like, Matt, is it actually says people greater than product, product greater than tech. I 100% agree to it and loved it. So, can you tell our listeners why people are so important, particularly from a business point of view? Because we are living in the
Oh,
world of technology and AI, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, it all starts with people. It's everything. People is everything, whether that's our users or the people I work with, my coworkers, um, um, eh, my family, of course. Like, people is everything, and that's what kind of makes me come alive, trying to serve people, figure out what makes them tick. I love behavior, and I love working in groups for a common goal, whatever that goal is, whether it's in your community or starting a company or working with a great boss in your individual section. So it starts with people learning what they like, working for them. It just feels good, and then the product serves that. So whatever that product is, it should serve the people. It needs to solve that pain point or make their life better, give them some joy. And then tech serves product. So tech is just to service the product, product services people. That's
Excellent.
kind of how I look at everything. It's just a tool.
That is definitely a great learning. And as the director of product experience at Amana, have you implemented the same narrative, people greater than product and tech in practice as well?
I mean, I don't preach it. It's more of just how you operate during the day. So
Yeah.
I'm in general curious. Our team's curious, so we're always looking. Obviously, AI is everywhere, so we're always looking at different tech stacks, different ways that it can help serve the product. And at the end goal, it can't just be like, for instance, we could have had AI in our app a long time ago, but if it doesn't serve an actual like use case, or there's so many edge cases that come from it, it's just kind of a marketing gimmick. It's not something we're interested in. So I guess I would take that approach. Where slow down and just don't throw it in there just because it's fancy. Slow down and make sure that it can work well and serve the people properly. And the whole product team does that at Amana.
That is definitely a strong advice. Now let's talk about Amana. Can you tell our listeners from the Blockchain DXB podcast a bit more about Amana? Because you guys have been in the industry for well over a decade and you're leading in the
Mhm.
MENA regions. And I want to find out, what is it that gives Amana a competitive edge?
Oh, great. Of course. So we're a neo broker, basically servicing anyone from like the very beginning traders starting your investment journey or trading journey to somebody trying to build wealth, and starting slow and building kind of their wealth journey. And so everything in between we handle. And that means if you're trading your typical gold and oil, your cryptocurrencies, your US equities, your MENA stocks, your FX products, all of those things we have in one place. We have them in leveraged version and unleveraged version. We pay interest on unused margins, so you can feel safe. Your cash is just there earning interest, and when you feel like deploying it, you can send it out. So I think a really good use case for us is we kind of are a one-stop shop for investors and traders. So whatever they want to do, they have access to it at Amana. And you're right, we're over a decade old. We started, I think, around 15 years ago. So we're native to the region. We understand the region. We're from the region. And then about 3 or so years ago, we did a complete revamp, and that's kind of the mobile first opportunity that you see now. Different rebrand, different team. And actually, I was just in a staff meeting about an hour or two ago, and we're multiples of growth since then, many multiples. So we're growing like crazy. We're doing the right thing, and that's focusing on the people.
Excellent. Now, I do have a question regarding, Amana's transformation into mobile first. Before that, I wanted to find out, are there any other countries that, Amana is venturing into probably in the next coming years?
Oh yeah, I mean anything in the MENA region,
Mhm.
whether that's direct or indirect. So we just went heavy into Lebanon.
Oh,
So that would be one very easy one to note. There's a few others that I'm not going to say out loud right now that we're actively very interested in and making headways into. But basically, our focus is the MENA region. And so all countries within that, users within that, even if they live outside of that, we're interested in what they're interested in.
and right now there are many millionaires moving into the MENA region, particularly in Dubai, UAE as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I love going there. It's a melting pot. It's
Especially
absolutely
now.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yep.
And Matt, you also co-led Amana's transformation into a mobile-first, zero-commission trading platform. So what I want to find out is, what has been the single biggest decision that actually shaped this transformation?
Ooh. Well, it would probably be the transformation, and that starts with the CEO. That's Mohammed Rasul. He set
Oh,
the tone. So when Mo came, I wasn't there yet. He hired me, but that changed everything, and that really put fresh life into the company. Went a different direction, a different just a different focus altogether. That is the single biggest thing that drives everything else. Is you need to have like that, the lighthouse that you can see and know where we're all going. And so that would be the decision, hiring Mo.
yeah, it always starts from the leadership, isn't it? The leader always gives the guidance as to which direction the company has to follow. So thank you so very much for that. Now, Amana, Matt, is also known for being the mobile-first, zero-commission approach. What were some of the key challenges you faced in shifting to a mobile-first strategy, particularly in the MENA region?
Oh yes. Well, one of the unique parts is there's so many different exchanges. Every country, or almost, has a different exchange. And so I think we're still the only broker that has 6 MENA exchanges connected to our app. Not just the big ones. We have all 6 major MENA exchanges. We have US exchanges, of course, and the other assets I mentioned. That's really difficult to do. It's also really difficult to do when you start from scratch. You have a user base, which is great, but you start from scratch with a whole different, like, completely different product from go. So it's kind of like Mo was like, okay, Matt and the team, you guys are hired. We gotta push this out in like 6 months, go. And it's like, what the heck? And so you have to make some hard decisions in what you're gonna do. But making those 6 exchanges, servicing like I keep going back to it, servicing the people. That if you focus on that, your decisions are easier. So some of the nice to haves can wait, but just focus on those products that they want and they need. And then also gets into like crypto. So the region like Dubai is like a crypto hub. And so we have, I think, also, like, if not the most, besides like specific crypto firm, from like a neo broker, we have the most crypto assets anybody can trade, both leveraged and unleveraged. And I'm not talking people that just play with the numbers. So they'll offer like Bitcoin dollar, Bitcoin yen, Bitcoin euro, like that's fudging the numbers. I'm talking about native different crypto assets that you can trade. We have that as well.
Over 375, isn't it?
Yeah, for now, and we'll probably add some this week. Like, it's
that's excellent.
Constantly looking.
And lately, Matt, I'm also seeing this trend. I'm not sure if it is happening in US or in other parts of the world. A lot of the banks in UAE, they are starting to offer cryptocurrency as a service, like Rock Bank. So customer from Rock Bank, they can directly buy Bitcoin or Ethereum using the bank. That is pretty strange, isn't it? Do you see that happening in US or in other parts of the world as well, or?
Yeah, I think legislation just opened up in the U.S. to do that.
Yeah.
They did a bunch of changes. So sometimes I don't know if it's actually approved yet, or if it has to go through the, Senate or House. But it's coming. It's happening. It's amazing. And then that gets into the stablecoin conversation too, and how that opens up the world. Also, so this just amazing, and it's great for people too. They just have more choice. So,
That's absolutely excellent. And how do you see mobile adoption trends, particularly in the Middle East, shaping the future of investing and trading? Because I remember back when I used to grow up, used to go to the stock market, used to stand in the queue, used to see a lot of people shouting over the lungs. But now things have changed drastically, and particularly in Dubai. How do you see the trend shaping investing in the future of investing, particularly in trading?
Well, now I would say if you can find somebody that doesn't have a phone, that would be like the needle in the haystack. So everybody has a phone.
Yeah.
And so I think what's going to happen next, especially in light of, banks even offering crypto and the deregulation in the US and elsewhere, the real world asset conversation picks up pretty quick.
Yeah.
So everything is going to be tokenized. And if everything is tokenized and we have things like prediction markets, where you can, make a wager on whatever somebody wants. The weather could be like, is it going to be another? I got to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius, but 50 Celsius day in Dubai, in a row. Like, it could be anything. And so when you have that and have access to that in your pocket, you have multiples of more users that can interact with you, and you're a brokerage company. And so that's just a huge amount of users that we can get access to, build a community around, and grow everybody.
Excellent. And Matt, you're currently working on a data-driven roadmap to make the user experience even more seamless. So can you share an example of a recent change or an update or feature that has come directly because of a user feedback?
Sure. One, I can give you 2 come top of mind. One actually would have been just crypto in general, but we did that. One's coming out as Sharia watchlists. So we have so our users are, if they're a current client of ours, this is an update for you. If you're not yet, you're going to know that Sharia assets, like specific watch lists, just with Sharia compliant assets, and then looking at every like U.S. stock and whatnot, and knowing, or MENA stock, and knowing if it's Sharia compliant or not. That's data driven. That's user requests and us analyzing what people need. That's coming out very, very soon. Number two would be, simply people withdrawals. Like we need to speed up our withdrawals really fast. So this is not the product guy hiding from a problem. I know what we have to speed up withdrawals. We have a massive, large project that we've been working on for about 6 months. At least, that needs to get out. And then data driven is like get withdrawal processes like automated and instant. And so that is something that is our P1 to get out as soon as possible. And so those would be definitely, one is coming, the other one is basically here.
And right now, there's so much of innovation taking place. You briefly touched based upon RWA tokenization. There was NFT hype and quite a lot of other things. So the question is, how does Amana balance the speed of innovation and ensuring stability and security of the platform as well?
That's people. It's
Excellent.
hiring the right. It's hiring the right people. You got to have people, just like you got to have people that are flexible. They're not rigid. There's going to be challenges, especially I always consider us still in startup mode because we did that transformation, 3 years ago or so. So we're in a super growth like mindset. And with that, you need to be flexible. Your tech stack needs to be as flexible as possible. One of the learnings, I guess I would say, would be like, it's like one of those things like, well, what would you change now? And I'd be like, well, I would probably try to renegotiate vendors so I could have a different contract. So I had more flexibility with swapping them out if they weren't producing as our users expect. But you have to make some tough decisions early days. But it all comes down to people. And making sure that they feel empowered to do their job. If you hire the right people, you don't have to micromanage them. You trust them. They do their job. They know what needs to be done. So we hire great people, and that takes care of that mess.
That is beautiful, and I'm really liking it. And more importantly, the attitude and approach that you're still thinking of growing and learning. And even at the beginning of the podcast, I asked you, Matt, are you a crypto expert? And you said, no, I'm not a crypto expert. I'm still learning things. So I think that is definitely a brilliant attitude and approach to have, isn't it? I'm definitely going to be taking that on board as well. So thank you so very much for that. Now, Amana also covers a broad range of assets, be it stocks, crypto ETFs, and quite a lot more. So how do you decide which new asset class or markets to introduce to existing users?
That's user feedback. So, I dabble, and others in the company, I'm constantly looking at what's coming at us in the future. So I mentioned prediction markets a minute ago. I'm looking at that. There's other things too that are pretty interesting. I've looked at NFTs a lot because I've done and traded NFTs a lot. So but in my own bias, I would love to get them in there, but then it gets into like, how does this make business sense and the rest of it. So it's really just listening, being curious, and our users are like, we have a great community, so they come and tell us what's out there as well, and help us make decisions. So we don't know. We learn from our people.
That's absolutely great. And Matt, in the cryptocurrency space, there's always different narratives. And right now, the buzzword is treasury firms. And via the LinkedIn of Amana, you were in the video where you put out an excellent video explaining the hype and demand for Ethereum, which I believe is more connected to Ethereum treasury firms. You also talked about the importance of Genius Act. So can you share the same information to my listeners? Because I think what you said in a relatively short interview was really, really important and powerful.
Okay, well, I'll try to remember. I'll just, basically the Genius Act is, it allows U.S. financial institutions to work with stablecoins. Before they were not able to do it, or there wasn't enough regulatory clarity for them to consider it. And so, because that's been lifted, having a stablecoin in the crypto ecosystem is extremely important. Everything's priced in dollars. If you're the US and you're the world reserve currency, you want to extend that to other regions. It's very good for the US. And it's good for users too, because they can always take their Bitcoin or ETH or any other token and convert it into something that they know and they're familiar with that's stable. And so that there never was like an internet money, a stable internet money. You know, your Visa and MasterCard is an internet native. And so this enables that and will open up banks and financial institutions to issue their own stable coins. They can work between each other. My bet is they've already chosen Ethereum as the blockchain of choice. And because of that, it's very, like, there's a lot of reasons because of it, but there's a network effect, because once all these institutions are using the same, like, railroad tracks, they're not going to go use some other different railroad tracks because they need to convert to get on your railroad tracks. It adds friction that nobody wants and costs and whatnot. And so that is, most stable coins are in Ethereum, and that is really, really beneficial to the entire ecosystem.
Yep. And yesterday, Scott Bessent, who I believe is the head of the Treasury of Secretary, he actually put out a document asking the people to put forward any comment regarding the Stablecoin Act, because he wants to tackle ways where you can go ahead and identify illicit activity. So you have things like zero knowledge proof, which is technical. So if any of the listeners do have any idea, feedback, or suggestions, you can definitely put forward the suggestion directly to the U.S. Treasury of Department. So, thank you so much.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
So thank you so very much, for the information regarding Genius Act. Now, what about treasury firms? Because right now the whole narrative is regarding treasury firms. And lately, Matt, what I've noticed is a lot of non-crypto firms, particularly biotech companies or even airlines, they are buying Bitcoin and Ethereum. And Peter Thiel, just last week, what he did was one of the biotech, he actually changed the name to Eatzilla or Eatzilla. So it sounds
Oh,
it is
wow. I didn't know
firm.
that, actually.
And
Okay.
he's bought a lot of Ethereum and just put it into the balance sheet. So what is your thoughts regarding the whole narrative regarding Ethereum treasury firms?
Okay. So this is only my thoughts. So do your own research. Right now is such an interesting time because you have changes because of the Genius Act and other changes in regulation. There's a floodgate opening of a lot of financial institutions and things like pension funds. There's trillions and trillions of dollars that can get allocated to a new asset class that you weren't able to before. Some of them can go natively and get it directly, and some of them can't. So they might have bylaws that will not allow them to get in anything other than, let's say, U.S. equity, as an example. And so these treasury firms can fill that gap. They can give exposure to, like, a 401k in a different wrapper, wrapped up into an equity. That would be one example. And because there's so much money available, that's probably why the Peter Thiels are smart people. They want to get access to it because they're going to move quicker than, like, some state California pension fund, or whatever, or European whatever. So sovereign wealth fund or whatever. And so that's just part of that equation. And then also there's a few of them that their talent is incredible talent. And they'll be able to do things that most people won't understand. So Ethereum is an amazing asset in its own right. You can earn interest on it and you can earn yield on it. And then you can do other things, more abstract things, to possibly earn even more. And most users won't know that or don't even care to do that. They want to hire it out, right? And so these firms, if they have really good talent, will do that for them. And do it at a cost-effective way, and that's really attractive. So I always think of it as, hey, you can earn a tech stock that has yield, managed by the best people in the world. Sounds pretty attractive to me.
Yep, absolutely spot on. And just to share something a bit technical, and I'm not sure if our listeners will be able to grasp it, there's something called as total value locked, where where people who buy Ethereum, they put it into balance sheet, and the same Ethereum, they put it as becoming validators. And because of that, Matt, the total value locked has pumped up. It was $30 to $40 billion before BlackRock started the whole ETF hype. And now from $30 billion, it has pumped up to $150 billion. So really crazy and interesting times ahead. So thank you so very much for that information. And what I wanted to find out, Matt, is there a particular asset class, be it cryptocurrency or non-cryptocurrency, you believe will be seeing massive growth in the next 2 to 3 years?
But one point, and you just made me think of something. I've never thought of this before, but it's pretty, just so your users understand, this is how I would explain when we're talking about Ethereum and you can earn yield, basically when you were talking about TVL or total value
Yeah.
locked, what that is it's people taking their asset, ETH in this case, and locking it up, kind of putting it in a safe or moving it somewhere else. We don't have to get technical. And what that does is it removes it from being a liquid asset. It's locked up. It's not liquid. In a sense, you can think of it as Apple just goes and purchases 100 million of their own asset. They just took that their own stock. They did stock buyback, and they took it off of those outstanding shares. It's now not float. And so that's another way of thinking of it. They're removing it, and what that does is it puts a base underneath the price because there's
Yeah.
less of it, right? And so that's how I would think about TVL. And then your question was in regards to like what assets might be good in the next 5 years or 10
2 to
years. I
3
have
years.
no idea. I can't figure out with AI what 10 years seems
Exactly.
like we're going to be living on
Way
Mars,
too
right?
far. Yeah.
So 2 to 3 years, yeah. I mean, if you're catching me at a moment where if you would have asked me this a couple of years ago, I would have spit off a whole bunch of tokens, but this is one of those learnings. I would say because of the regulatory changes, what that does is opens up DeFi. It opens up DeFi considerably. And
Yeah.
so the assets tied to, in my case, the Ethereum backed DeFi protocols like Aave, maybe Curve, because that's a stablecoin one. Aave and Curve are very interesting. I don't know enough about the tokenomics on Curve anymore. I used to own it, don't anymore. But basically, a really mature, so Aave is super mature. DeFi protocols are interesting, just like understanding them as a business, not like their tokenomics behind the scenes. And then maybe gaming and actually AI too, because
Yeah.
here's another. So we're in the middle of everything can be fake. Like everything can be fake. You can make anything in a second on your phone. Nobody knows what's real. And now enter the same time in history where blockchain can essentially prove and timestamp it.
Yeah.
And so if you have a token that can prove when something happened in the age of AI, I don't know what that token is per se. I could look into it more, but that's something that's interesting to me. Like what how do you do real time
Validation,
timestamps on
auditing. Yeah.
validation? Yeah, so that would be interesting. And then your big leaders like your gaming too is interesting. I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of use, especially in the NFT stuff, but just gaming tokens in general and how they're so gaming, anything touching AI for sure, and then your DeFi definitely for sure. Besides your big like your Solanas, your ETH, and your
Yeah.
Bitcoins.
But I'm going to put you on the spot. This is similar but a bit different question. What do you think are the top 5 cryptocurrencies that will be an absolute hit, and top 5 that would be a completely flop or a rug pull?
What would be the ones that would be a hit? Is that what you said?
Yeah. In the next, let's say, 2 to 3 years, do you see it's only going to go up? And what are the 2 or 3 cryptocurrencies you think is definitely going to have a downward spiral?
So I'm sorry, just to rephrase or make sure. So what are the assets? Do I think the total value of crypto is going to go up? Is that kind of the
No,
first one?
no. It is more about what would you pick as your top 3 cryptocurrencies for the next 3
Oh,
years?
okay.
And top 3 you think will not succeed in the next 2 or 3 years?
I mean, easy to do top 3 that don't succeed. I would say any celebrity meme coin won't
Excellent. Yeah,
succeed.
yeah, yeah,
That's like just whatever those are. So they
yeah,
might succeed for 30 seconds and then they won't.
yeah,
So any just stay away from that in general. It's just you're gambling, completely gambling. And then I mean, other than that, it's for like what won't. I mean, most won't. That's kind of like most won't. So I usually don't pay attention, so I don't even know their name to name them off, other than like some meme coins. The other side of that, though, is the stupider the meme coin, probably the more it'll last, the longer it'll last.
yeah,
It's this weird thing in the crypto world, right? And then what will is kind of what I mentioned. It's more of a safer bet.
yeah,
So I would say, you know, your risk tolerance. So ETH is just no brainer for me. I think Solana's getting a lot of heat right now, but I would not roll them out. They're a different use case. So that's probably something that maybe their price is beat up right now. That would be interesting, and they're not going to go away. Of course, Bitcoin, and then Aave again. Aave is like just they're in such a good spot. So they're
Yeah,
basically borrowing and lending application um, on the internet. Like they just control funds for people to borrow and lend. It just makes some complete sense, and they're like old. They're OGs in the space, so they're well. They've been beat up and they learned their lessons a long time ago. So
yeah. The only other thing I would add is maybe XRP. Now, I'm not a fan of XRP or Ripple as such. I don't think so. There's a use case of XRP as such, but they've been making quite a lot of partnership, and they've launched their own stable coin, and they have linked that with
yeah,
bundle mechanism, and they're doing some really interesting stuff, and they're working on RWA tokenization as well.
yeah. I got into Ripple many years ago, and then that one guy Dustin and whatever started Stellar, and then I
Yeah,
got into Stellar Lumens, and I was into all
yeah,
that and colored coins and all sorts of stuff. So I you know, and then they had a lot of legal issues, which are all basically are gone, I think, at
yeah,
this point. So that opens up. Um, I just haven't paid attention to it, other than I know like their legal issues are done and they're
yeah,
they're old. I still, without doing more research, my knee gut reaction is they'll probably stick around because they got a big community and user base. But
yeah,
they're their own chain, and so to me, I'm going, you just have Ethereum and your layer twos and the US government, essentially saying go stablecoins. Most of these financial institutions, in my opinion, would go there. That's the black
yeah,
hole. And so where does that leave Ripple? That leaves, to me, they're on a separate train track. And so that adds friction because you got to move somewhere else. And so I don't know, I might be missing something, but again, I don't think they'll die out. They're kind of too big, but
yeah,
that's kind of where I go with that one. And then Doge, I mean,
yeah,
there's just the meme coin that won't go away. It's part of the culture. And so those kind of things probably, and also because their price is so cheap,
yeah.
it works with retail. I can buy something for 25 cents, and they might not understand you can buy 25 cents of Bitcoin if you wanted. So I think Doge is probably going to move up with everything else as well. And
Excellent.
then your
Doge is kind of
oracles and Link,
yeah,
and yeah,
chain
it's a
link,
lot
yeah,
of them.
link,
Yeah.
yeah. And Matt, crypto adoption, particularly in the MENA region, is growing ridiculously fast. So how does Amana decide which crypto assets to list, keeping in mind the demand and the regulatory compliance? Because Dubai right now, it is great in terms of innovation, but it is quite stringent with regulatory compliance as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You got to be careful. So, I mean, for us, it's pretty straightforward. It's what do the users want?
Yeah,
We need to have liquidity providers that can get them. And so we don't just offer assets if we can't manage our risk. So because we want to take care of our business and our clients, we have to be able to manage our risk. And I think if I remember, we weren't looking at anything under 100 million market cap. So it's pretty much, if it's lower than that right now, it's too small. But
yeah.
anything, I think we have it as 100 million or more, we'll look at. And as long as our LPs can get it to us, we'll offer it.
Excellent, excellent. That's a really precise answer. And are there any upcoming crypto features in the Mana app or integration that you can give an exclusive sneak peek at?
Oh, that's tough. That gets into showing what's behind the curtain. Um, there's a bunch that I won't get into, other than we want to connect wallets to our system, and that opens up some really interesting doors. We also want to add staking in our system, and there's different ways of doing that, and so we've thought about that quite a bit, and probably would have had it out by now if this other large project wasn't going on. So I would say staking is an easy one, and then connecting wallets to our system, it would be another one as well that we're very much focused on.
And right now, I think Paul Atkins, the head of SEC chair, he kind of is allowing staking in US as well, isn't it? For
Uh,
centralized exchanges to go to offer staking as a service, because Gary Gensler, he was against it.
Yeah, Gary, that guy.
The most hated person in the
Uh,
cryptocurrency space, isn't it?
oh, he's such a interesting cat. Let's just say
Yeah,
that. Um, yeah. So and they also, I think they deem these assets not as securities, which opens up
yeah.
the space quite a bit. So this is just super attractive for financial institutions to come on board. And I'm in Texas right now. Well,
Oh,
I live in
excellent.
Texas, and I think I'm forgetting. I think it's BlackRock. They're starting an exchange here as well, and I would bet if they didn't already announce it, that it's going to be like digital only. Like it just seems like it's the right time. You're going to a state that's pretty friendly with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't just open up exchanges without doing a lot of due diligence. So, and knowing have some type of competitive advantage. So copying what they did, maybe in New York or London isn't going to work probably. So I would think it's going to
Definitely
be
not New York. Yeah.
digitized. Yeah, yeah.
And what about Amana? And are there any plans for having, let's say, a token connected to the Amana app? So maybe
Hmm.
called as AMA token or something of similar lines.
Yeah, we talked about it a number of times. It probably comes up once a year for the last 3 years since I've started. It's just in this backlog on our mind. There's a lot of different directions we can go with that. Again, it just has to make sense and not just do it to do it.
Mhm.
Like it's kind of like it would just fall away, and then you really lose the trust that you have with the clients. So these companies or entities that do that, and then it's great, and then they realize after 3 months or 6 months, like, now what? You have these people that have this token that you kind of have a relationship with, so you better have a long-term plan with this.
Yeah.
And so we just need to think about it a lot more and not just do it to do it. And so that's what we're in that process of right now.
Excellent. And just to share a recent news about OKX Exchange, I think they burned $26 billion worth of OKB tokens. I think they burned like 269 million of their
Hmm.
tokens. So essentially, because of that, their token pumped up by well over 100% in just a matter of few minutes. And this just happened, I believe, 2 days ago. So, this is
Okay.
again going back to the point that you mentioned about reducing the supply, the demand increases, isn't it? So that is something which you touched based upon as well. So thank you so very much for the earlier point. Now, regarding the MENA region, Matt, there are a lot of young tech-savvy population that is increasingly exploring cryptocurrencies. And Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, who you talked about just a few minutes ago, he was in Abu Dhabi last year. And he actually said that the United Arab Emirates will lead so far as cryptocurrency adoption is concerned. So how is Amana going beyond in capitalizing the young and tech-savvy population?
Well, hiring them. If they're
Mhm.
young and tech savvy, there are users, and they know the stack, they know the asset class that's going to grow, and so we're always looking for great talent. Number two is they usually are nitpicky and will find things that we can improve on, and
Yeah,
nitpicky in a good way. So it's a really good feedback loop. And the younger generation is, they're social, right? And so it's very easy for them to quickly comment on our social channels or whatever outlet that they have and give us feedback. So that's a really fast feedback loop, one that we welcome so we can get better. Um, because the older generation, me and older, most of us are like, I don't want to do that. So it's extremely helpful to help us make decisions and prioritize.
and talking about user experience, how is Amana tailoring its platforms, let's say, for first-time investors compared to seasonal traders?
Sure. So we started with more of a first time or newer trader angle like 3 years ago, not the 15 years ago when we really started, but from the when we restarted there 3 years ago. We integrated Real Vision into our app.
Oh, excellent.
So I think we're the only broker that has it like literally native in the app. And so they have investing course that will teach you literally everything from A to Z about investing, asset classes, macro, micro, technical analysis, whatever you want. It's all in our app. They also have daily commentary, what's happening in crypto, what's happening in other markets, what's happening in the news that might affect markets. That comes out. There's a new one every day. It's a different channel, but it comes out every day. It's also native in the app. And so those really are focused on those new traders that want to feel comfortable and understand what's going on. Number two is the layout needs to be simple. And so I don't want to show like depth of market and, millisecond ticks on price and et cetera for like a super advanced trader. I just need to show the price, and I need to keep this in a way that it's comfortable and not you're not going to be freaked out the first time you see it. And then we built like an order ticket. So for instance, our order ticket, you don't have to put in like your order type. So you don't have to know things like buy stops and sell limits. You put in the price that already has logic that knows the right order type. So just those kind of conscious decisions of like, if I'm new to trading and I want to get in, I can just put in, I want to do $100 or $1,000, hit it and go. It's easy. For your more advanced traders, and they can switch to a different view, so they can see two-way pricing, and they can get into a little bit more depth as well.
And that goes back to why you have people over product and tech, isn't it? Focusing on just simplicity, especially for first-time users. I'm really, really liking that aspect of it. And have you noticed any unique trading behaviors or patterns, particularly among MENA users, in compared to, let's say, global trends? Like, what is it that MENA users tend to buy in comparison to US or UK or other parts of the world?
Definitely gold and oil.
Gold and oil, isn't it?
Yeah, heavy on gold. So that's an easy one, and obviously MENA stocks too, because most people in the U.S. aren't even familiar with that you can buy a MENA stock, an equity. And so I would say, gold and oil is the amount of it is completely different than other areas in the world. And it's very crypto heavy though. Still, it's very crypto heavy here. Yeah.
Yep. And right now, there's a lot of hype regarding RWA tokenization. And the Dubai Land Department, they've also partnered with several companies to promote it. So do you see an area where Amana can actually capitalize on this whole narrative regarding RWA tokenization?
If it's like real world assets, the knee-jerk reaction is sure, because if it's tokenized, then it's going to be, if it would be available on a chain that we probably have access to, and if we can get liquidity from it, we'll offer it. And so one thing we've looked at real estate in the past, tokenized real estate, it's been around in MENA for a couple of years now. I've looked at it a few times. I can just tell you the reason we don't have it yet is because we don't like lockup periods. Most of them that I've seen have lockup periods and other things that tie the capital up. And a first-time user thinking back, like, what is our users going to want to have access to this asset? And now we have to explain to them, like it's locked up. It needs to be more liquid. And so if there's a solution where it's very liquid, I would be interested in that. So if you're in the region and it's a really liquid real estate asset, let us know. I'd like to look at it.
Yeah, what I'll do is, after the call, I'll definitely try to connect you with some key people. And there are quite a lot of real estate developers who are quite keen on doing some partnership as well. Now, talking about cryptocurrencies, are there any macro level things, Matt, that you tend to look at that determines the prices, let's say, of Bitcoin, Ethereum, or the cryptocurrencies? Now, geopolitics is definitely one of them, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. That's a big mover. It's really going to be about safety, clarity on like what's happening. So everyone's looking at interest rates, what's going to happen next. And if users don't know Raul Paul, he's the owner or one of the co-owners of Real Vision, which is again in our app. He's extremely outspoken about, it's called money flow. So the amount of money, M2 money supply, that's the correlation on that is insane. And so you can look into that and understand, like, what does that mean for asset prices in general? And that is something that makes a lot of sense to me. So when interest rates go down and money supply goes up, asset prices generally go up unless there's some geopolitical issue. And so I would ride that wave. It's just the wave's too big. So, yeah.
Well, what I tend to do is, I tell my clients there are two things that you need to be looking at. One is the inflation data or the CPI data, and the second one is the FOMC meeting, where Federal Chair Jerome Powell decides, what the interest rate is, and I'm pretty much sure he just uses a magic ball. Now, the next FOMC meeting is scheduled to take place on the 17th of September. There's no FOMC meeting this time. Now, during these dates, do you see a lot of trading activities going on? I'm sure a lot of experienced traders might be capitalizing on these dates, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot. I think honestly, in my experience is in the past, it used to be more. So I've
Uh-huh.
been in this space for at least 2 decades. And so it just seemed, I was in more in the FX world, so maybe it's a little bit biased on that, but it seemed like there were more people doing like news related trades around the FOMC than now. Definitely there's an uptick
Yeah.
in activity around those events for sure, because it adds volatility. Um, but yeah, I think it's getting, there's so many different asset classes now. I think it's getting a little bit more muted than decades ago.
Yeah.
Um, and it seems like, I don't know, it seems like they're just, things get priced in the market way ahead of time. And unless there's a huge, they have a lot more, it seems, I could be, they have a lot more tells too. So the big surprise hasn't happened in a while. Maybe there'll be a big surprise that'll wake everybody up. And so everyone, FOMC, a couple ones after that, it'll be a little bit more volatile around it and not priced in so much.
Excellent. And Matt, Amana has a crypto auto investment plan where people can set up automatic investment in coins, let's say like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. Yeah, I'm pretty much sure that this makes it easier for first-time users, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. Actually, yeah, we have investment plans. It's exactly it. So it's set it and forget it. If you, again, whatever a dollar amount that you want, it's basically going to take fresh funds in. You can make your own investment plan. So if you wanted to like dollar cost average into Bitcoin or into Apple or Tesla or whatever, you can do that and buy $100 worth every week, every month, whatever. Or we have pre-made baskets. It's like conservative, aggressive baskets, a crypto specific basket, a magnificent seven basket, a Sharia-compliant basket, things like that, like themes that they can just take advantage of. Also, it's a very good way of growing wealth. And actually, because we do this with our U.S. Equities, also, one unique differentiator with us is we're not a broker that just offers U.S. equities like a CFD or whatever. These equities are in the client's name. So if something bad happens to Amana, those equities will follow you. A lot of broker, and it's very difficult to do this. It actually adds a lot of headache with our colleagues for paperwork and whatnot and legal aspects. But in general, from a client perspective, again, people first, you trade U.S. equities, those equities are in your name. And another broker, they're not in your name. You're just like you're kind of aggregated under the company's name. It's a really good advantage, especially for those building wealth.
Excellent, excellent. And I'm right in saying that this would be more ideal, let's say, for both beginners as well as experienced traders, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. In my head, it's two different. You can trade and you
Yeah.
can invest. This is very much for investing. It's the set it and forget it. I'm going to have this
Yeah.
this pocket or this bucket over here building over time, and I'm going to play over here and trade because it's fun or whatever.
Yeah. And that we are in the world of artificial intelligence. And I'm not sure if you've seen the video by Grok 4 by Elon Musk. I think it's ridiculously scary. Now, regarding AI, what are some ways you personally keep a tab on what is going on in the world of artificial intelligence?
Well, I ask it, what's going on, man? What's going on with you? No,
Yeah, yeah,
and I don't
there
know if
will
it's
be a
telling the
day.
truth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
I mean, it's just reading a lot. I'm on social media constantly, so it's just trying to keep up. So it's really, and then what does that mean? Like everybody else is doing that too. Like, what does this mean? So I'm not a doomer. I think, of course, there's risks to it,
yeah.
but I think it's going to open up a lot of opportunities for us. It's going to be scary at times, but you got to walk through that door and learn something again. You're going to learn something. It's going to be super cool. Your head will expand and you'll be like, I never even thought of that before. And hopefully that allows us to do that and serve people and do great things together.
And are there any features that operate within the Amana app that is purely driven by AI, or are there any plans for AI to be
Mhm.
implemented within the Amana app?
Yeah, definitely. So plans, yeah, there's a lot of plans of doing a lot of things. There's already like AI generated, let's call it news synopsis There's AI generated like conversion by English to Arabic. And because some of the news sources we get, doesn't have it in Arabic. And so we have that. Some of this stuff isn't out yet. It will be in this next release, which, is in the next 2 to 6 weeks. But those are the easy methods that we've pulled in there. And there's some more interesting ones that we'll get into maybe towards the end of the year. Again, this was really just more of a how are we really serving the client here. Yeah.
Excellent. Now, Matt, we're in the world of artificial intelligence, and I'm using the paid version of Grok 3. So what I've done is whatever voice you're talking right now, I put it into the app, and I've asked them to ask a question. So the next question is not by me, it is by Grok 3 Artificial Intelligence. And let's see what the answer to that is. So I'm going to read out the question word for word. So the question essentially is, Matt, as AI increasingly influences education, work, and markets, do you think one day artificial intelligence will decide what humans should value, things such as relationship, friends, likes or dislikes, or even investment?
Well, will it tell you that? Yes. I think the question is, will it help clients decide like what to value in relationships, investments, etc.? It will if you ask it. It probably will, because it'll get to know you more and more. And so, at the end of the day, you have your own brain, so you can decide if it's worth it or not. But, this also gets into like the autonomous agents and things working for you. So if you separate those from like an asset perspective, yes, they're definitely going to do that. They can search the market. You can train it, you can have it do a million different things, and it can do automated trading for you and a number of wealth management. It can do all that. That's probably easy for it here really soon. And then how it works for you is probably more personal. So that's going to be an interesting new friend that we're all going to have, or friends.
What is a bit scary is that, AI is probably going to determine what kind of friends we have as well. And the reason why I like this question is because I did do an interview with one of the guys, and he actually said that his friend, when he has any problems, rather than speaking to his wife, he's actually talking to ChatGPT 4. And I found that funny. And I told my niece, who's 16 years old, and my niece said that she does it herself. That if she has any problems with her school, with her friends, rather than talking to her parents or friends, she's actually talking to ChatGPT as a counselor, which gets a bit scary.
I love it, actually. I do it. I also do it. I have a daughter that is, early teens, and I don't understand what's going on in that head. And so how do I can go read a book, or I can get instant access to the best experts on this topic from multiple directions instantly. And so if my daughter is doing, a meltdown, or she's just acting different, I can understand what's going on more. It's about people, right? I just need to understand like what's happening with you and how can I help you and things like that. And so I use it as a friend. I have a separate folder literally for like relationships, and I use it for that. So it knows that I have a daughter and this is how old she is, and help me be a better dad.
Excellent. Really, really interesting perspective on AI. Now, historically, when you talk about Bitcoin halving, 18 months after the Bitcoin halving, the prices of Bitcoin tends to reach a new all-time high. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the last Bitcoin halving did actually take place in April of 2024. So October 2025, if the thing works in pure magic, I do think Bitcoin could actually reach a new all-time high. So the question is, do you think that Bitcoin could potentially reach a new all-time high? And are there any plans by Amana to entice customers during that time and capitalizing on that hype?
Well, knowing how marketing does marketing things, yes, they probably will, because people will be interested in it. So they'll make sure that everyone knows you can get leveraged or unleveraged version of Bitcoin, like what I just said. Do I think that it will reach all-time highs again? I do. We're only like 10,000, I think, from it, roughly. I think we have a ways to go just based on that. I mean, we really haven't even touched interest rates, if you believe that they're going to go down yet. And the money supply conversation is really highly correlated. So of course that can break. Of course, be careful. But there's still probably a lot to go in this, a lot more than a lot of people realize. And I also think that, the last time we had a cycle like this was COVID, and that got truncated because of COVID. And so I think people have PTSD on that. And they think that anything ripple is going to be the top because they're scared of what happened before, and that's this recency bias, and I have it too. And it might surprise to the upside because there's still a lot of people that keep calling the top now, and that's not when tops happen. So
Excellent perspective on that. Now, Matt, the next question that I'm going to ask is nothing to do with crypto blockchain as such. It's more about work-life balance. Any advice do you have for listeners for work-life balance?
I mean, do what you love. And I know that's cliche, but that's actually why I'm here. You have to do, I don't care what it is. You could be around horses. You could be working in a tech company. You could be, making pizza for people. It doesn't matter because whatever you do, it's not work anymore. It's enjoyable, and you'll bring something to it that other people don't. And it'll bring you internal happiness, and it'll make other people happy. Your whole life will change. So whatever it is, it's like neighborhoods, kids in high school and whatnot. I'm like, well, what do we do in AI? My kid, I don't know what they're going to do. It's just, it's scary. I don't know what they're going to do either. I don't know what my kid's going to do. And, but just whatever you love, follow that. That's what I would do. I had a decision when I got out of college to go two different directions. One was a secure job over here. One was this crazy broker company that's in the basement of this guy's house. He's literally beyond startup nothingness. And I'm like, I like that whole trading thing. It's like, it intrigues me. And so I went that direction, and I've never regretted it. I don't think I work. I love this. So do it.
And there's always the saying, the greatest risk is not to take a risk at all, isn't it? And following
Yes.
the passion is definitely beautiful. So thank you so very much for doing this. Any final message you have for our listeners, and any best way to contact you? Could it be via LinkedIn, or what's the best way people can contact you?
I mean, best way is, what is the best way? Twitter, I guess, at Matthew Carstens. I have a pseudonym that I'm much more active on, but I look at Matthew Carstens a lot, and I've tweeted there recently. So that's probably the best way and grow. I'm on LinkedIn, of course, and really just keep telling us how we can do better. Everybody out there is better at this than we are, and so you have a different perspective and understanding and different need, and I want to hear it. And so don't be bashful. There's no bad idea. It may spark some other interest that we have. So I really just want to grow our community, make sure everybody understands we're here to serve you and to grow. And thank you. And thank you for your time too. Amazing. This is a great conversation.
Great conversation. Thank you so very much, Matt, for doing this. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much for this.
My pleasure. Bye, everyone.